I love it when the music does that. Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of code. I have some stuff to set up. Oh, am I uncentering myself? I just pushed a button. Let's go back to welcome. Welcome everyone. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy Men's Day to you. It feels like a Monday. And my voice is all over the place, but hopefully it's not too loud for you. My microphone seems to be picking me up a little bit clearer than it should, but I guess that's fine, right? Let me know if I'm too loud or if my throat clearing is too noisy or whatever. Anyway, I gotta do my camera thing real quick. Let's go, throat. XSplit. Hello, XSplit. How are you doing? Remove the background, please. Thank you. Now they can see the beautiful background that is of this snowy place. And if we interact with it, window swap, interact. This says this is Ottawa, Canada, with no date timestamp. So no idea when this was taken. There you go, looking outside of a window somewhere in Ottawa, Canada. So, are we good now? Is everything started up? I think we're started, so let's hop on over to this screen so that I can properly introduce you to the app that we're working on in stream. This app is called the Financial Management Tracker application. I still have no idea what to call this thing. Man, that looks like it's peaking too loud. Okay, so I have no idea what to call this thing, but something like Financial Management Tracker. It is an application that will allow you, the user of the app who cloned it from GitHub because it's not hosted anywhere in particular, to configure it in such a way that you can connect to your own database and track your finances that way, manually, on foot. I mean, by hand. No gatekeepers here. Oh. So anyway, I'm running it so that we can see it. We can see where we are at, and I believe the next thing that we're working on is having a dismiss button for this calculator that will pop up, as well as hiding or changing around the styles for the draggable area so that it's always there, but not showing stuff. Man, I don't know what's going on with my throat. Hello. I was just in a meeting where I talked and my throat was doing fine, but now suddenly my throat wants to be all ticklish and weird. Okay. Cool. So that was there. Let's refresh back to what the landing page looks like. So as you can see, when I refresh, this does not do what a typical Blazor WebAssembly app does, which is it takes a minute before the Blazor stuff loads. So you'd normally see a loading of some kind. But here I have mocked out the index page to look like my actual landing page. So if I was in a different page to start, it would still show my starting page and then jump me to that other page. That's not behavior that I'm really liking now that I'm seeing it and describing it out loud, but that's fine. We can adjust that eventually. But the thing that we've been playing around with, I guess Whirlwind Tour. As I mentioned, this app will allow you to track your finances manually, and by track them, I mean enter in any payments. So if you have receipts or if you have some kind of statement that has all of your transactions that you have done, you can hand transfer them into here. You can hand jam is what us old people say, the data into here. So for those of you that love data entry, this is a dream app for you. So you'll enter the date, choose who you're paying to, any extra information that you want to be saved with that specific transaction. You'll fill in the line items, everything from subtotals to sales tax to shipping cost to labor cost to whatever you want to break it down to, because you can modify the values in all of these drop downs. And then choose the account that you're paying from. So money will leave that account and or be charged to that account in the case of a credit card. And so once you do that, your numbers will update here. They will also update the records down here, which can be displayed in a prettier way eventually. And then you can look at each of your accounts individually to see all of the transactions specifically for that account. So that's paying for something. Depositing money is when something external to what you are tracking puts money into one of your tracked accounts. And transfers is moving money between your tracked accounts. Cool. And you can even tell it to set these up more like actual accounts and give them categories. Give your accounts specific categories that might be more accountant friendly. I don't know. Totally up to you what you do with it. But we'll get to that. So the thing that we've been doing though is working on a calculator so that in the app, you know, like I have a calculator button on my keyboard that opens the calculator, but I don't know if you can see the bottom of my screen. Let's move scrolling text for a second. So my taskbar is set to auto hide, but it popped up and now the calculator is showing as I have it changed, but it didn't actually set it active. So I had to click on it in order to just start 10 keying this in. And I would have preferred that when I push the calculator button, it pulls up the calculator and the calculator gets the focus. I don't know why that hasn't been happening as often lately. It's super weird. I don't get that. Just put the focus on the calculator. Dang it. What happens if I actually launch it from the start menu? Okay. So I guess launching it from the start menu does what it's supposed to do. But anyway, so something easier for me would be I'm working in this app. I want the calculator, so I click on the calculator, move it out of the way, and then start using 10 key to do the maths that I'm wanting to do for that quick second. So that's what this is. We're going to make it stand out a little bit. We're gonna give it a background. We're gonna change this draggable area here so it's not taking up so much space. We're gonna add a dismiss button, and we're gonna do that all right now. Cue music thing, because, you know, that's what cool people do. I'm not a cool people, so I don't have a music thing. Okay, so we're gonna style this so that it looks better. We need to, we're a dragon. I forgot that I have that in there somewhere. Excuse me. I would like to search. We would like to search. Ah, it's in the JavaScript interrupt. Thank you. You were amazing, but we don't need you anymore. We know it works. Save. Okay. Okay. So we did some really cool stuff last time though with the draggable container. So now the actual component itself, even if I drag way out here, the component will still register when I let go, when I stop dragging, which is so cool. So cool. Oh dear. Yeah, I want to constrain it also to the bounds of inside of the app's body. I'll figure out how to do that eventually. But for now, let's get rid of this draggable text and use something different for the draggable area. I'm thinking 2 horizontal lines-ish, maybe. I don't know if it's just gonna look weird. So where are we? Draggable container.cs, draggable container.razor. Okay, and where is the text? Here it is. All right, so what if I made you 2 horizontal rules? And that's what that looks like. Then, and that, then I'm looking for the sass. And also having a fun time, apparently. Draggable container would be the, nope, draggable area would be the container that we are looking for, that we want to style. So that's right here. And we still, yeah, I still have not figured out how to change the cursor so that it stays northeast, southwest, which is kind of annoying, but that's fine. I would like this thing to be, I think I can just adjust the horizontal rule. So let's do a padding of maybe 1 font size on the left and right only. That's a lot. Helpful. 0.4. Okay, so that's cool. And I think oh, it's hiding behind the button. Wait, what are you doing? Huh? I honestly don't understand what's happening there. Like, if I click on it, the header, the size of it, I don't know what's changing or why it's changing. I'm losing some padding across the top, maybe? I don't know. That's really weird. It could be this style here that's doing it. Like to top and bottom. And then the HRs, I said HRs like an American, because I am American, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, so it was definitely changing the padding on drop. That's really weird. I don't understand why. Doesn't matter. It's working now. Okay. You guys are margin? Is that what Copilot is telling me? HRs have... kind of looks like margin. It could also be line height. What color are you? Orange. Yes, it's margin because we can see it over here in the element descriptor, or whatever this thing is called. So if I change your margins to something smaller, like 0.2, oops, I meant to keep the top and bottom, but not the left and right. And made your color Is it color that I want to change? I want it to stay font color, which is going to be current color. So maybe the thing that I'm actually wanting to do is change the opacity to be something like 0.3. Oops. Point 2. Something faint, you know? Hello, Nightlight. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Okay, so then with that, I also don't want it to take up space. So you're going to be position relative, position absolute, with a top of 0, left of 0, right of 0. And that should do the thing. Stop taking up space. I didn't see a change. Did anyone see a change? I didn't see a change. Maybe it did. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, it did change. Okay, good. So it's just the calculator itself now. So if we inspect this, then the content, yeah, is the thing that's taking up the whole size. There's our calculator, which is the innards of the content. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. I'm having a good day so far. It was kind of annoying this morning because on Monday, I was told to review our security report, which someone else usually does, but they're on vacation. Vacation, not just vacation, but vacation. So it was at 3:30 or so that I was asked to review the thing and come up with a response because we were going to meet with cybersecurity. After I did that, don't do that. So after I reviewed it, but 3:30 is when I normally get off of work, my work day, or that's when I try to end my work day because I start at 4:30. 3:30, you finish at 5 right now. I start at 4:30 a.m. and then do a few breaks throughout the day and then end by 3:30 p.m. at 15:30. So the issue was that Tuesday I had some time off because reasons. So I wasn't going to have Tuesday to look at it, and my PM wasn't like expecting me to look at it on my day off or anything. So after we discussed it, he's like, so I'm going to send an email to the group so that we can schedule a meeting for Thursday or Friday. And my PM is currently overseas, so his there's a time difference for us. So it would have been early morning. And since I start my day at 4:30, it works perfect for me. So he sent an email out that said, let's schedule a meeting for Thursday or Friday between 6 a.m. and, what did he say? I think it was 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. or something like that. Anyway, he gave them a window. And they ended up scheduling the meeting for this morning at 8 a.m., 9:30 a.m., which was outside of the window completely. It was even not a day. So I had to spend this morning reading through the security report, coming up with my responses to prepare for that meeting. And so, again, not something super difficult. I was planning on doing that first thing this morning anyway. So I did that and I was prepared for the meeting, and then I went and did my 7:30 to 8:30 normal routine, which was nice that I was able to. Oh, and I met with him at 6:30 this morning to discuss the stuff. Yeah, simple but extra work. And I mean kind of simple. So I guess the thing that was really difficult about it for me was I was under the impression that I would have this morning, pretty much all of today, to review it, come up with a response, and then we would meet about it tomorrow or Friday. But I had planned on just getting it done first thing in the morning anyway. But then, since we got those, the meeting invite, and no one said we wanted to schedule this on Thursday or Friday, I went ahead and accepted the invite, and then my PM was like, let's meet this morning before the meeting. And I'm like, okay, 6:30 works for me. And so he wanted to discuss what my response to these things is. And when I started, he's like, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm like, did you want me to look at it and respond to it, or did you just want to tell me what I need to respond to them with? Because I'll do that, but don't make me do the work to review the thing, come up with my own responses just for you to tell me what I'm going to be telling them instead. Because, yeah, what oh, how do I word this? I'm gonna make this shorter or narrower. The fun thing was, he is not very experienced with Blazor, and so we have a desktop application. That desktop application has a WPF, is a WPF application, uses a Blazor WebView control, and all of the UI is Blazor. And our cybersecurity flagged us, PMs, or is that just PMS? My PM has PMS. Anyway, cybersecurity flagged us because we have something that's like a message dialog box. I think I have one in here. Do I have a message? Yeah. So essentially, all of these are message dialog boxes. So this is a message dialog box where I can tell it what to use for the confirm and cancel, as well as the title and the content. And this specific message box only uses a string title. It doesn't use a render fragment. It uses a string title, a string content, and a string confirm button only. And so we got flagged because they're like, well, cross-site scripting could be a thing, because we're using a method to take in those arguments, take in those string parameters, and then use them to render as markup string in this dialog component, which is kind of true. Or not kind of true. It is true that we're doing that. It's kind of true that if a user wanted to, they could interrupt the process. They could interrupt the method call and tell it to render some random HTML, because we're telling the thing, yeah, just display whatever we send to you as a string, as a markup string, as HTML, and then render that content and then display it to the user. However, they said that it could be done during the HTTP response. And I'm like, so there is no HTTP request response. The way that Blazor works is, and then that's where my PM interrupted me. He's like, okay, so I think you should, let's look at it like this. So we're running the Blazor on a server that's only on the machine, right? I'm like, there is no HTTP server at all. The Razor engine takes Blazor code, runs it through the runtime, and then and then generates HTML in the end, and then the WebView control just displays the HTML content to us. That's all it does. There is no HTTP server, no HTTP request response. So really, there is no cross-site attack vector here. There's the only way for a user isn't technically WASM using the fetch API to handle requests in the request pipeline. WASM is, yes. Remember, this is a desktop application. So a desktop application does not use WASM. the desktop application uses something called Blazor WebView.js. And so essentially this is just a way. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they see Blazor, they see HTML, they're like web technologies. Therefore, we check for, is there unvalidated user input, which you would need to do for a desktop app anyway. Is there a chance for JavaScript code to be executed in the rendered content, which there is, because they could replace the .js file for whatever we happen to be using that's JavaScript. But here's the thing. It is a desktop application that is shipped through the Windows Store that is saved to the program files, Windows apps, protected folder, all the way down. So one, they would have to be able to access that. Two, they need administrative rights to do that. They need administrative rights to run the app anyway. Three, all of our code is signed. So including the static JavaScript files. That's signed. The app checks to make sure that the hash matches. Or I honestly don't know how they do that, but there is some kind of signing that happens. So if you modify any of the DLLs or any of the JavaScript files or any of the static content, then the app will know, and it will either, I honestly don't know how they do it. I think they replace the file with the one from the install, but it's also possible that it just doesn't run. So anyway, point is, they're trying to ding us with all of these web app related things. And it's like, that's not how Blazor works. My boss is like, or my PM is like, this is how Blazor works. And I'm like, not quite. This is how Blazor works. And and so I have a long-winded story. I'm sorry. I'm getting to that. The point of this, the thing that we got to was during the meeting. So we started the meeting at 9:30 on time. Weird. And the cybersecurity representative, I don't really know what to call them, technicians, tester, whatever she was like, okay, so this is what I would like to do for our meeting. Give me a rundown of what the application is and a demo of the application. And then what changes were between the previous version, because it seems like she is a different tester than we have been getting from cybersecurity. So she wants to become familiar with the application so that she knows what to test for when it comes to creating the cybersecurity report. We use Veracode for that, or they do. And then they send us the report, and then we address the issues. So we got dinged with those issues of cross-site scripting, and there was one more like input validation thing that's like the user isn't inputting anything into that. Oh, and I guess the other issue that could come up is someone could use .NET Fusegator, I think that's what it's called, to decompile the app and then change the assembly, essentially change the parameters that this thing accepts. Or change the method call or whatever. But at that point in time, the user that's doing the attack already has admin access. And ooh, this looks nice. I will look at this shortly. So yes, .NET code, which sends to the WebView directly, no server in the middle. Yeah, I will read this for sure. And maybe this only pertains to MAUI and not WPF, or is this any? Anyway, off topic. So, or not off topic, on topic. Slight distraction. I want to finish the story, but I talk a lot sometimes when I start talking about these things. Anyway, so she had us talk her through what the app is, give the demo. And then she's like, okay, so now that I have that information, I know what to look for, and I will do the testing. It may take up to 2 weeks. We're planning on releasing next Monday, and we submitted to cybersecurity for testing a month ago, or yeah, a month ago, I think. And that's why we're responding to these things. So they're pretty much starting the whole cybersecurity process over from scratch when we were definitely on time for an on-time release. And we were going to do code freeze by the end of the day today. So anyway, by the end of the call, there were no discussions about the actual Veracode flagged issues that we got, even though we have responses for them. And she's going to do her testing, get back to us as soon as she can. It'll most likely take up to 2 weeks. And she'll schedule another meeting for any items that get flagged that we need to discuss. It's like, all right, so this whole thing about rushing this morning to read the Veracode report, find out what the issues are, come up with responses to them that say, this really is a non-issue, it's a false positive. And all of that was really just a waste of time for work this morning, that is, when I could have been doing more UI-related, accessibility-related improvements to the app. So, in short, Nightlight, the solution was it's going to stay as is until cybersecurity comes back and says, no, you actually do need to address this. If we need to address it, though, I did come up with solutions that we could do. And so, as I mentioned, let's see if I just have it like this in this app. Our modal, templated modal. No, I don't. Okay, so these are render fragments in my templated modal. I'm just going to create a message dialog real quick, just so I can show you what this thing is doing. I'm going to pop you out so we can take up the whole screen and make it big. So this is going to be a modal. App bind show equals show app bind. This is one of my favorite things from .NET 7, and I'm pretty sure it came with .NET 7. App bind show after, handle show changed. Oops. And then we need some content. Good. Parameter. Show. That. Parameter. Public. And callback. Oh, yes, that was it. I wanted that. Thank you. Except I don't know why this is doing this. You're weird. Don't be weird. My formatting code. Oh, yes. Hello, Irish John Games. Hello, Sir Black Soul. Hello. Now, I didn't actually greet you guys. Sorry about that. Hello, Disco. Scott. Coleslaw. Can I pretend you're my boss and work here? Yes, absolutely. You absolutely can. Okay. So this is what we have for our templated question dialog, or sorry, message dialog. Message modal, message dialog. We have a parameter that is a public string, header text, which I guess to be more accurate for us, it's header HTML. Header content. Oh, I think I called it header content. Now that I think of it, content. Then we have the required body content. Don't ask me why we did it this way either. And then OK button content. And so this is going to be OK by default, and this is required is how we did this one. And so we have modal header, or is it just head content? If not string is null or white space, header content, header content. Then, and again, I really don't like this approach. I am currently working on it. Editor required, what is that attribute? Is this one that actually tells the usage that body content is required? Because I need to use that all the time. thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. Okay, and then this is where they're dinging us most likely. Markup string, header content. So you can see that this is a string, and then we are rendering it as, if it's a HTML inside of it, then we are going to actually turn that string into HTML and then render the HTML that is generated from that string. Hello? Child content. So, oh. Word. I see. そうですね. Using pasta. Using pasta. Where do I sign up? Word head. Cool. And we got card body. Yeah, and I think our modal in the app actually has a header. It pretty much is a card, but you can specify the parts of the card. Oh, I don't have a show changed yet. At markup string, body content, and finally card footer. Oh, right. And I guess for my structure, I also need to put this in a card text. Oh, deity. Okay, so card will be button, handle okay clicked, absolutely. And button content will still be a markup string as well in case they wanted to put an icon in the button. So let's create these callbacks really quick. And the other one. Not really. Nice try. So okay clicked. Yeah, we're just dismissing it. So do return handle show changed. And then this will be show if of show does not equal this new value of show that we are passing in, then ref show is show and show is show, lowercase show, and if show changed has delegate, oof, then do that. Otherwise, return task like that task. That's all they say. Okay, so in short, we have, oh, this is after. That's what it was. Okay, my bad. In short, what we have is content that will be provided to this component as a string. Then we're rendering that content as HTML. And that means that wherever this content comes from, we need to check all the way up the chain in all of the paths that could possibly populate this content for anything that might be provided by a user or an attacker in general. Hello, tactics. Ooh, lots of conversation. I will catch up on that very shortly. So what this does mean for us. For us, Where was I? I already lost my place. I'm going to catch up in chat because that's where my brain is going. Can I pretend you're my boss? Yeah. Yes. Calling the component. All right. Coleslaw says, I'm okay at HTML and CSS. Just finished the JavaScript and am building an app. What kind of app are you creating? Now I need to master Visual Studio Code, but what should I learn next? Are you wanting to do .NET? Because the next thing would be to put your skills to use in a .NET web application. If you're going to learn React, then yeah, that would be another direction you could go. TypeScript is fantastic. Oh, I like that suggestion, Sir Black Soul. Now that you're more familiar with JavaScript, TypeScript is a good way to take your JavaScript skills one step further and get you closer to a object-oriented language. JavaScript with type safety, commonly used for web applications and frameworks like React. For example, it transpiles into JavaScript, which you just learned. Another bonus, it's closer to C# syntax. Yeah, or just object-oriented syntax. I mean, JavaScript it's just not type safe. So I guess type safe, object-oriented. And Coleslaw, thanks, Scott. Scott, you're amazing. That was a great response. A great supportive response is what I'm trying to say. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then a big thank you to Sir Black Soul for your recommendation on TypeScript. Personally recommend try to learn solving problems. That's another great suggestion. Make a website, it'll involve all of them. Yeah, so one thing that is often mentioned as a good starter project is a to-do list because it really can involve all of the complexities. So it starts from a very easy, you just have some kind of UI that gets displayed on the screen with a list of items. Then you add an input so that you can type in something into that input, click an add button, and then it adds it to the list of items. Then you can do something like persist that list of items between refreshing the page. So learning things like using local storage in the browser, or going even further, connecting it to a backend and saving your data in a database or anything like that. So now you're adding more complexity as far as your architecture. You may have an API backend that you're now needing to hook into. Yeah, definitely personally recommend C#, .NET. I love .NET. Cool. All right, so you have a specific project in mind too. So that's another great thing. Like, not a lot of people do have like, what kind of project should I make? What kind of app should I make? You actually have one that's specific, which is a website for your fleet on World of Warships. I think I need to focus on anything that's not Kepler's third law. I don't know what Kepler's third law is. I'm making buttons glow and stuff. Yeah, very cool. And you get to have fun with it too. So because it's a game-oriented site, you can do interactive things and just have fun with it. Whereas like if you're trying to make more of a professional site, then you kind of want to just follow industry standards and don't make things too flashy, but also appealing enough, but in a clean way. So that's a little bit more juggly, in my opinion. Anyway, great responses. React is good to learn for a lot of jobs, but it can be difficult if you haven't done any programming before. But the cool thing is, if you do learn React, you would also have a good mental model of how to structure a Blazor application too. Because I haven't done React, I've only watched people code with React, and it looks very similar as far as having components that are just HTML snippets that will take dynamic data, dynamic code, and then you use them to construct your application. So reusable components, main application where you just use those components to put together your pages, your UI, and the functionality. Yeah, oh my gosh, you guys are so flippin' awesome. Gosh, love you guys. You're amazing. Thank you for all of your inputs. Okay, now back to this. So, what I typically prefer to do, as you can see here, actually not even here, in my templated question dialog, which is probably what I should have used for this thing, templated modal. What I typically like to do is use render fragments for these parts and pieces. And the thing was that it was our junior developer who also doesn't have a lot of UI experience in general or web development experience, which again, even though this is a desktop app, Blazor is still considered a web technology, even though it's just a UI technology until you add the rest of the components like the hosted API or the server or anything like that. But for the most part, the Razor class library written in Blazor is just a UI library, not web. It just uses HTML. It renders as HTML. And then that is interpreted by whatever is displaying it to present it as the UI. So that said, he might not quite get the render fragment thing. So here's an example of the usage of the message dialog as we use it in our application. We would have in our main layout, actually I'll put it outside of the wrapper, message dialog. And then our content is going to be provided by whatever is going to tell this thing to show. So first of all, at bind show, we're most likely going to be using UI. Why do you all have semicolons? We're going to be using UI state. Oh, move. Equals UI state dot show. UI state dot show message dialog. We'll start with this real quick. Just because I don't feel like doing this in the code behind, because I think I'm going to scrap this. Am I going to scrap this? We'll keep it. I'll put this in the code behind. We do have a UI state. Okay. So in our UI state, we need to create a message dialog part. So I like to have two things. Bool show message dialog. You can do get set. I'll allow it. And a new object. Now where to create that? That's kind of annoying. Of message dialog parameters, for example. Okay, so this message dialog parameters is going to be in our shared library under general. No, there's a space. Where did that space come from? Not fair, not fair. I did not push space. And we're going to make it a struct because it doesn't need to take up that much space. And it's going to have public string title, public string message, and public string OK button text. Thank you. Thank you so much. OK button text is required. This is null. Bubble. And control dot. All right, so then we also have our method, void show message dialog parameters, show message dialog. Oh gosh, I always do this. I call the method the same thing as the property. String title, string message, and actually let's do it where title is optional. So string message, string, oh, you know what? OK button text is gonna default to OK. That's what it is. We're fine. Title equals null. And finally, OK button text is going to default to OK. OK, yes or no, sir. You actually found my keyboard command. Completely forgot I had one of those. What should I call you? Display message dialog. I don't know. One of them is going to be display message dialog and the other is going to be show. In which case, you should be display flyout. Okay, let's go implement these real quick. Easier way is just Control F12 on one of these. Do this. Backing fields, we're going to have a private bool. Oh, that's what it is. Message dialog visible. That's what it was. Bank credentials on. You were close though. You were really, really, really close. The command is not bank credentials. It's really close to that. You'll find it eventually, I promise. Message dialog visible. And where did you go? Yet. And the method. Not implemented, and this is going to be... Oh, there is one more thing. This thing. Where did you go? You're right here. Right next to it. Oh dear. Okay, message dialog parameters will be that, then we'll show, and that should be it. So anyone that wants this thing to let them know that it's changed, they're gonna get it from having this thing be observable. Oh, which means that I actually need to tell it to use that pattern. Message dialog visible. Do the thing for me. I'm too lazy for this. Set field ref message dialog visible. And then the value. Semicolon. And then you can also do that too. Yeah. You're value based. It'll be easy to compare and inexpensive. Pilot? Thank you. Really appreciate that. You're so nice. All right, so as soon as we set the message dialog parameters and the message dialog box visible, then we're going to see a UI property change, or e.property name is equal to name of UI state dot message dialog visible. Then we're going to re-render. Cool. Is that everything? All right, now we need to hook it up. That's what it is. We will hook it up by saying you. So right now, thanks to Scott, who gave me the editor required. Oh man, you're finding all of the commands. Dukasoft even added some to it that I don't know what they are. But thanks to Scott's suggestion for us to use editor required, we now get this message that says component message dialog expects a value for parameter body content. I need to start using that everywhere. It would be so nice to see this in the editor as I'm using it. Yeah, Tyron knew about it. I'm sure I knew about it, but I completely forgot about it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Since it's a struct, we should be okay. We don't need to initialize it. So we need our header content to be UI. Oh, since it's a string, I need to use context switching to C#. UI state dot message dialog parameters dot title. And then we get body content. And we get footer content. OK button content. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have already picked it out what the main issue is. So this is essentially our setup for our message dialogues in my work application. We have a message dialog that is on our main layout. Our UI state has a variable that controls whether it's displayed or not, and what to display as the header, body, and OK button. We have a method in UI state, a public method in UI state that takes string parameters that could be HTML, potentially. I'm going to call it, dude, why aren't you taking me back? I'm going to call it OK button caption. So you can see where cybersecurity would flag this, because here is a method that takes string parameters and eventually in the UI outputs it as HTML markup. So if someone was clever enough, they could have an entire content that says span, on click, do stuff that you're not allowed to do. Run this JavaScript that will, since this is a desktop app, that will access whatever resources on the computer and delete C drive, reformat everything, or whatever. However, the only strings that get passed to this are hard-coded strings in the application. So message comes through as a localized string. Title, which is compiled to C# as consts in our app. The title will be provided by the calling method, and then the OK button caption is also a localized string. And again, yeah, all of these are localized strings anyway. So if we're running the app, I guess here's a sample of it being used. What did I break? A struct with finalizers and initializers. Okay, no initialize then. Fine. Let's see it in use. Top bar. Get another button. It is just going to be called show message. on click is going to be show message dialog. Which we're going to put down here, private void show message dialog. Bam. We don't have a UI state. Interesting. Not at inject. Inject. I am missing a lot of chat, man. Chat, man. UI state, please. UI state. Get set. Oh man, I'm pushing all the wrong buttons. Oh no. And give me my using and get rid of these semicolons that this keeps adding. Okay, so we should be able to show a message and dismiss that message simply by clicking that button. While I'm waiting for it to reload, let me close this. I'm going to catch up on chat. Okay. React has a flow that's similar to Blazor, I think is where I left off. So I could learn React a lot quicker, says Scott. React is good to learn for a lot of jobs, but can get difficult if you haven't done any programming. I don't know where the "so I could learn React a lot quicker" came from. It was just a statement, but I don't know how to connect it in my brains. But Sir Blacksoul responded to it and said, "I'm not sure why, but I really like the structure of Angular so much more. React with its HTML-based components just doesn't look as clean as the Vue code style separation." So how does that compare to what you think of the syntax for Blazor, Sir Blacksoul? Since I kind of associate the look and feel with what I've seen React code looking like, except you're not using double curly braces, you're just using an @ symbol here. Really interested to know. And then of course, like you said, all of the styles are separated into a either isolated CSS file for that thing or just CSS in general for the whole app. Brain kind of skipped. Scott said, "I never touched Angular, but I know it's an entire framework, whereas React is a library." Ew is a good word for semicolons. Yes. Ew is a good word for semicolons when it's in .razor files and not in code blocks. I don't mind semicolons. It's just I like things to be used the way that they're supposed to be used. And if I'm doing it wrong, you tell me and I'll try to fix myself. Awesome commands. Scott has been watching for 8 days. That is 24 hours times 8, which is some big number like 184. Nope, 192. And then +1, 193. Tyrant said, "I love that attribute. The editor required." Editor required. I am required to know, says Dukasoft. That'd be easy to release. Oh, you're required to give everything you know. That'd be easy to release. Any suggestions on what to use instead of markup string? Yeah, render fragment. So I'm gonna show you what my fix to this would be. Should be an easy fix to use HTML sanitizer. True, but we wouldn't have to do that either. But here is a reference to it, so I have it. That sounds cool. Blazor with code behind is like Angular style. Okay, so code behind. And then the @code block is killing it. Yeah, I don't use @code as often as I used to. I do prefer to put it in a code behind. In fact, I don't know why the show calc. Oh, because it's only a private variable called show calc that's getting toggled. And so my code behind file would be a full C# class with just one private field. except for now. Now I've added the show message dialog method and inject. So let's go ahead and just put it in the code behind. Let's make everyone happy. Okay, there we go. Doop, doop, save. Okay. Let's see our button in action. Maybe. Where did the app go? Over here. Hey, I finally got a response to that. Yay. Show message. So now we have our dialog. It's not styled very well. I would style it to have a minimum width, minimum height kind of thing so that it looks nice. The title would be in line with the dismiss button, etc., etc. So this will render any HTML that we tell it to. So if for some reason I was able to, in my desktop app on running it, whenever this message box was about to display, intercept the call to uistate.showMessageDialog. So this call here, and then change out what is going to display in message or title or whatever to be something like, let's say, so this is me intercepting it with my .NET Fuscator or whatever else you use to decompile your code and change out the assemblies and do stuff. So this is going to be image source slash https:// some image that is not something people want to see. Actually, you know what? Let's use a real image. Let's go with donkeys. Hello, donkey. There we go. That works. Then what could happen is once hot reload works, we do show image, and now we got a donkey. It could be something a lot worse. It could be a video. It could be download this thing from this site because someone was able to inject that. But how are you going to do that? You're going to have the user install some application or something on their computer that also has admin privileges, that is able to know, let's go directly to the running application, listen for any method, or rewrite the assembly so that the method call show message dialog will now always display this as the message instead, causing the user to download stuff. But if you've done that, then displaying it as markup string is not going to fix anything, because if we, instead of do markup string, we just do a regular display the content as regular string, then I will check. I'll find out. Then we're this is going to be rewritten in some other way using the same tactics to download. So maybe now they are rewriting it to do var HTTP client equals new HTTP client, and then HTTP client await HTTP client dot get from JSON or stream file or whatever, and they're either uploading data somewhere or downloading data somewhere. But at that point, the attack vector is not displaying HTML, displaying a regular string that is taken in from a method call as HTML. The attack vector is being able to override this method, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to modify the message that gets displayed. I hope that made sense. There is no actual user input where the user has the opportunity to change the value of the message that gets passed into here. Yeah. The end. Okay, so will this code that I just wrote still work with sanitizer? Move. Okay, so I think I might actually have to read through this in order to find out how to set this up. Is this true? Oh, well, that's not what this thing says. This thing says create your own markup sanitizer class or markup string sanitize class. Who do we need to tar and feather for making my TV ask if I'm still watching? Oh, I think you can turn that off. Hi, Deflex. Okay, so here's another link to it. Is this then a NuGet package that I'll have to download too? I mean, we can definitely install it in this app. I don't think that we would use that NuGet package in our work product. Oh my gosh, I clicked a button that I didn't mean to, and now it's doing something. I have no idea what it's doing though. What did I accidentally click? Choose toolbox items. Okay, and this is from Michael Gans. Looks right. Install into my GUI. Okay, so then we would do var sanitizer equals new sanitizer and sanitize value HTML. Okay, so I think the way that we would do it in our apps implementation is in UI state. All of these would be, first we get a var sanitizer, new HTML sanitizer. Now we go u sanitizer dot sanitize value. And apparently it can't take null strings. You have GitHub and VS open at the same time. So I use Visual Studio, the full thing, so not VS Code. And I use the plugin, the extension for GitHub in Visual Studio. So I don't really go to GitHub unless I'm creating issues or PRs. And even then, they're starting to make it to where you can do PRs within Visual Studio as well. For example, the financial management project, we would look at issues, and we're currently working on this one, which status is in progress. Always creating issues. But most of the time I'm working only in Visual Studio, which is really nice, having one place to do all of the things that you need for your dev experience. Okay, so what does it do here? If we did this, then we need to rebuild. I just gotta say though, that is a nice donkey. Never have I seen one so nice. Type or namespace icons doesn't exist. Wait, why do you suddenly not exist? Deflux just said it, because of course. HTML sanitizer does not exist. Like, did you uninstall the NuGet package? Do I have to put it in both? So like, I usually rely on my project dependency order for projects that have, shared dependencies. So I installed the HTML sanitizer into my shared components, which is this one down here, which is saying that it had an issue. That's what the issue is. Can you restore? Yeah, I don't want to struggle with trying to get a NuGet package to install. That doesn't sound like fun right now. Instead, I want to show, I'm going to try a couple more things, but I'm going to show my solution for this. Where did my UI go? Up here. I am too. And I like pursuing curiosity. I don't want to squash anyone's curiosity whatsoever. When it comes to programming, I should say. And software development. Okay, so it looks like it built this time. Yeah, I think it was just that since I had .NET Watch running when I added the NuGet package, it was like, I don't know how to rebuild and restore my NuGet packages while I'm running in console. Holy cow, that is a lot of emails. $11:30. Of course. Of course. Okay, so if I did show message, then it blocks the actual image. However, here is an issue though. Now I have just completely blocked my usage of the message box to only allow strings. So now if I provide any HTML, oh, look at the DOM. The content of it is just an image tag, and that's it. So if I actually wanted it to be like, let's say that I wanted my title to be a span ID. Sure, yes. Title changed. Then what will this look like? It looks like title changed. Interesting. So I would want to know what exactly this sanitizer sanitizes. Eggs allowed by default. Wow, this looks really helpful and useful. This looks super duper helpful. Yeah, I like it. I think this is a great approach to doing any kind of sanitation then, because it looks like they've taken a lot of things into consideration and made it customizable so that you can just use it and tell it these are the things that I want to allow and disallow. So for example, here I would definitely allow spans. I wouldn't allow the on-click attribute. I wouldn't allow any of the event attributes, I guess, because there would be no reason to use an event attribute on the message box. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's really cool. I need this somewhere. Where do I want this? I want this in... Gosh, that's going to be hard for me to know where to put this. Do I have a security anything or... Best practices. Sanitation. But yeah, okay. So now you're switching back to HTML, or not to HTML, to a web app though. So remember that the whole point of this is it's a desktop app. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that so that we can stay on that train. I'm going to run this in the WPF app. This will also apply to WebView. Oh yeah, you made a comment up here about Blazor server somewhere. I can't control F. Did I really miss even more chat than I thought? Reflected cross-site scripting would still be valid in my honest opinion. I was assuming Blazor WebAssembly. There's that one. Burp, one of the most common enterprise security tools, seems to be able to sniff on the Blazor request pipeline though. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, they're using Veracode. And this is Blazor server. So if they're calling the WebView Blazor server, then they are still mistaking how Blazor works in a desktop app using WebView control. Okay, so let's go to the app real quick. So in essence, this view here that we are seeing, oh, actually I want to keep reading chat so I can get all the things that I missed. JavaScript type safety, we talked about all that stuff. Personally recommend learn solving problems. Not sure why structure. Okay, I'm not sure. No, that was a different one. Where was your comment about Blazor server? Lost it. I've lost my mind. Blazor server seems to work via socket communication on the back end, even as desktop app. It's just rendered as WebView. Yeah, we're not using Blazor server at all. Like, we're using the Razor engine to turn Blazor into HTML and then feeding that HTML through something that can present HTML. That is the Blazor WebView. So there's no server involved. Yeah, server-side Blazor apps again. So this is not a WebView control. Blazor WebView. So WebView can be easy to find. The WebView control is like any other SAML control, except that what it does is it takes HTML content. Actually, it takes Blazor components, turns them into HTML content, and then displays the HTML content as you would see presented in any other app like a browser. So if we were to watch F12, our network tab, then the only thing that you're going to see are API calls. Or loading resources such as the icon and SVG images. But note that it's https://0000, which is what the WPF app runs on. So that's just how WPF runs. What are you angry about? Which file is this? System core lib. I might not be able to show you anything in this. Socket exception. No connection could be made because the target machine actively refused it. And that makes it sound like there are HTTP requests and server requests. Thank you so much for the follow. Mad Stork. Loving it. Oh my gosh, you know what? I am so behind. So this amazing person peeked his head in not too long ago. Irish John Games. Here is a shout out for him. If you don't know him, he's a game developer working on a game called Rise of Piracy. Check it out on Steam, wishlist it. It looks like it's going to be amazing when he finally releases it. He got a publisher named Microprose that is going to be helping him do the release. Okay, so that confuses me then. I'm going to have to rethink this. Like, what I remember Dan Roth saying repeatedly, and the thing that he was trying to drive home. Awesome, Mad Stork. If you're interested in what we're working on this stream, it is a Blazor multi cross-platform project called the Financial Management Tracker, where we're showing all of the principles in doing a full stack .NET development project that targets Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, web, Tizen, all of it. And we're talking through some consideration to make when using markup string in a desktop application that is presenting the Blazor content using a WebView control. So that is this here. The thing that I took away from all of the things that Dan Roth has said is this Blazor WebView is not an embedded web server. It's not a hybrid WASM. Here's a .NET runtime that gets downloaded and you're feeding the code through that runtime. It's using the full .NET runtime installed on the machine, or that gets shipped with the product, or however it's done. And it is taking Razor markup, doing whatever Razor markup, doing whatever transforms are needed in order to compile it from Razor to HTML, and then using the Razor engine to do that, and then sending the content to the WebView control that then presents it. So there's nothing that says, I'm going to go do a socket connection to a server. I'm not doing internet communication traffic anywhere. Therefore, there is no request response that would allow for transient or whatever the other one is, cross-site scripting. So it's not like when I this is really hard to explain. It's not like when I click the button that's right here. Hello, button. I don't think that's right, Sir Black. I mean, if you can give me a source that confirms that. Then I will believe you. But right now, the understandings that I have is that there's nothing WASM or Blazor server. It's a completely separate approach. For doing the WebView, called blazor.webview.js. Otherwise, they would have used blazor.webassembly.js. Here, for example. Okay, cool. Thanks for being here, MadStork. I stream on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from an hour ago to an hour from now. So we'll be around whenever you feel like being here. Yeah, it's just weird because, like, yes, this is a Chromium browser. Blazor WebView is a Chromium browser under the hood, but it's not like it's a web browser. It's like the shell of what a browser is in order to provide a way to present HTML content. That's my understanding of it, just based off of all of the prior talks that I've heard. If I'm misunderstanding it, then I'm misunderstanding it. But the whole point behind all that anyway is the solution that I would have for this, well, now that I have this HTML sanitizer, then that could help a lot. But at the same time, that also restricts what we can do with this message box. And I don't want that. So instead, what I would do for our message box is in our message box dialog parameters, I would make these render fragments. How did that happen? Oh, And in my UI state, we can either have a version of this. So I would make another override to this that will take render fragments. Have it up. Or, oops, or it is a type of donut. Or I would have a version of it that takes strings, and we would know that if we're providing strings, we're only ever going to provide text. This text will never get turned into rendered HTML. So I wouldn't need to sanitize it for one. And then for two, oh, that's what happened. Let's see. For two, I would use probably some helper methods. Private render fragment, question mark, build title. Oh, it's a method, not a property. String title. Title null, return null, else return builder arrows, and then create the component like this. Builder dot open element, and this would be text. Builder dot add content. Oh, yeah, that's right. lm plus plus title builder. I don't know why I'm not getting IntelliSense for this. Probably because it's angry at this up here. And essentially replace all of them for that. No, you're good. I wanted to know this. And I would like to be corrected if I am saying anything incorrectly. The socket connection that gets set up from the browser to the Visual Studio that happens on Blazor Server and Blazor Wasm is the debugger. And Blazor Hybrid. Yeah, same thing for Blazor Hybrid. So that's a socket connection that gets set up there. And I mean, like when he was talking, yeah, just a lot of stuff. But I'm going to continue reading through the things. Back just in time. All right. So yes, this is my solution that I would implement. It's essentially saying we're not going to render any of these string parameters. We're no longer a question mark. Yeah, I guess this will be easier. I'll just have one helper. Build text render fragment. There we go. And we'll do it like this actually. Get rid of you, pasta, and pasta. And then these two will be not null. I mean, I wouldn't do it this way. I would still tell it to default to some kind of render fragment. But point is that we're just taking the content of whatever gets passed into this method as strings and then outputting it inside of a render fragment as the content for the render fragment, not HTML rendered or anything like that. So easy solution if we need to do it. But I don't think that this is actually a security concern until I read all of this stuff. So consider the code inside the WebView as untrusted in the same way that code running inside the browser for a web app isn't trusted. The same threats and general security recommendations apply. Where is this actual text here? So I'm reading this that was posted into chat. The same threats and general security recommendations apply to untrusted resources in Blazor Hybrid apps as for other types of apps. What is an untrusted resource? If your app must reference content from an external origin, which this is not, again, this is all internally generated content, we recommend that you use common web security approaches to provide the app with an opportunity to block the content from loading if the content is compromised. Serve content securely with TLS HTTPS. Again, no HTTPS, no HTTP requests are happening. This is all just render my content. And I just want you to render whatever I pass to you as HTML, which is not from a HTTP response, which is not from a web request of any type. It's text content generated from within the app without user intervention. Sanitizer. What's next? A lockdown? Yes. For these reasons, it's best to apply the same protections against cross-site scripting that are normally applied to web apps. Prevent loading scripts from unknown sources. Don't implement potentially unsafe JavaScript features. None of this is JavaScript, such as eval or other unsafe JavaScript primitives. We're not doing that. Establishing a CSP, content security policy. Is recommended to reduce these security risks. And sorry for the text walling. Nope. Appreciated. This one is very appreciated. Just been reading up on that, and it backs on the assumptions I've made. Yes, good. So they do. Would you be up to trying something quickly? Revert the sanitizer change and keep the injection. And then add. Okay. So you're saying that we're going to have a malicious user that is able to change index.html head to have this. Or no, this is just something that we're adding. Okay. To our own head for our own safety. And the UI state, I'm going to take my changes, copy to, copy to, secret screen, open Notepad. Don't know where it's going to open. It opened on this screen over here, so we're fine. New pasta. Okay, so I kept that code, and now I'm going to undo all of these. So no sanitizer at all, you said? Okay, and you are all strings. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of you so you don't complain anymore. Okay, so the only change that we made, we undid all of the sanitizer stuff, is we added the head meta tag that Sir Black Soul recommended. And we're going to try the same injection, which went away. Why did I delete the injection? Does anyone know? Okay, the CSP right now is mainly configured to block JavaScript, so maybe the inject script alerts will work. Okay, so for our OK button text, we're going to use script alert works. Hey, we'll try it. We'll give it a shot. I am curious to know what happens as well. And then we'll also run it in WPF as well. So right now we're running the Blazor WebAssembly one, which this should help us with anyway. For the index.html, I shouldn't have to. I just refresh it. One too many. Okay, so here is the thing. Here's our donkey. And so you can see here in head, I didn't put it in. Dang it. Gimme. Pasta. Save. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so you can see here we have the content security policy. And we still get a donkey. And so that's going to be another thing. The policy says image source self or data or HTTPS. And I am using data colon. No, so I put the script in the button. So here's button. Donkey knees and toes. That's exactly how it goes. Just to try it again, let's switch the title. An OK button caption? Absolutely, yes. Console. Console. Ooh, that's not good. Refuse to apply inline styles because it violates the following rule. Don't use style source, self, unsafe inline keyword. Yeah, it's definitely well, then again, I don't think that Blazor WebAssembly can run scripts like that. So let me get rid of this real quick. And we'll verify that we don't have the meta tag in head for content. Yeah, so it wasn't going to run the script anyway. So that would be right here. And again, what if we put it out here? Because right now it's in... UI state. Let's switch the title with the message, because body content will just be inside of a div. Yes. Dismissed. Okay, there we go. So now the body content is just script. Alert works. So the other thing that we could do though is instead have a span on load. Is that what the one is? Oh, and now it's just crashing. Did I tell you to preserve or something? Did. Okay. Is it not on load? On activate? Well, let's just do on click to see, because we can definitely click. I was just trying to do something so that when it shows up is when it's going to automatically do the thing. But yeah. We got a nothing. Oh, we did get us something. Okay, so there we go. Now we have a way to test this. Right now it's on click, but if I had some other JavaScript callback that happens as soon as that element is displayed, then we would have, it would show up immediately. Here is our head. You can see the content security policy meta tag. And it is correct that you cannot run tests. Correct. No. I mean, you can run debugger on your unit test. So therefore, that is not correct. Push Control K, let go of K, Control, and then push T. Or right click on inside of the test body and run test with debugger, or debug tests, I think is what it actually says. Order, I'll show you in 2 seconds. Solid, white, display, block, height, character. Okay, and there you go. So adding that meta tag definitely made it to where we cannot run JavaScript at all. So that's one of the main issues though. This is saying that I cannot run any JavaScript at all, pretty much. And I don't want that. I wouldn't want that in the app. The one that I have for VS Code. Gosh, I don't use Visual Studio Code very often. I think I just use CLI for GitHub in VS Code. Yeah, so I would just do like a git Okay, so Sir Black Soul is saying if you can attach, or either you can attach a n once to all script tags you want to execute or sources. You can also allow certain domains from which you are allowed to load run JavaScript. That's not really going to help because then they could just inject n once or nonce to the content that they're providing to the message box, for example. So the next question, though, that I was interested in is, how is this working in the WPF app? But again, all of this is on the assumption that an attacker would somehow be able to manipulate our Blazor code What am I trying to do? Debug. Start debugging. Oh, right. And then for deflex. In Test Explorer, you know what? I did. This should help a little. In Test Explorer, if you, I turned it up because I did a certification exam yesterday. And so I wanted my microphone to, anyway. Show message. Oh, stop that. UI state. Style. Display. Block. Fix solid. Wait. Height. And the CH. Okay. Here you are. So pretty. I love this donkey. I'm glad we found this picture. For deflex, you can go into Test Explorer, find the test that you're wanting to debug, click on it, and then push this this drop down, and then run to debug. Holding Control R, and then Control T, or click debug. Or you can go to the test itself. Go to the test itself. And then right click, debug test. And you can put breakpoints and everything. I need to close this. So did I answer you, Coleslaw? I don't use an extension in Visual Studio Code for Git. I just use command line if I ever do use Visual Studio Code. Huh? Why we can't modify date value while doing debug? Breakpoint. That is a very general, you keep the donkey question mark. Nice. Very, very general question that I don't know how to answer because there are a lot of what ifs. No, yeah, I'm using the full Visual Studio IDE. No worries. No need to apologize. Okay, show message. And we get the donkey. Why didn't you take my flipping changes? Display block height 1 character order 1 pix solid. Okay, so now we know where to click. So I'm clicking in here, we get nothing. We get rid of the content security policy. That didn't work. I have to actually remove it from here, don't I? What's going on, Big Amy? Nothing in the header. I mean, it's commented out. And the app is here. Show message. F12. I'm trying to speed along with this because it's time to go. Display. Block. So, I already forgot everything. Height, 1 character, border, 1 pixel solid. All right, we know where to click. We click and we get the pop-up. So yes, it's the exact same thing. So we would have a similar situation as we would if we were running this in Blazor Wasm or Blazor server, doesn't matter. We still have an opportunity for, if we turn any kind of string into HTML, provided there is an attack vector, there is some way for a malicious agent to be able to change what that string is, then we still need to protect against cross-site scripting as far as being able to, for example, show a pop-up dialog or change the content of what's being rendered by pointing it to a different URL, and maybe that image has embedded stuff that if the viewer allows it to run on their machine, then it'll cause negative effects. So your point is made, Sir Blacksoul. You are absolutely right. In which case, I think that we should go ahead and use the render fragment approach in my work product to mitigate that issue, because we don't have anywhere else that we use markup string except for in this message box. So yeah. Can you redirect? If you're going to be here on Friday, can you bring that up then? Because I got to go back to work and it'd be really interesting to see. I'm going to leave the code like this so that we can just add whatever we need to here for the redirect, like maybe an anchor tag, and just tell it to go somewhere, for example. Did you turn off keystrokes and mouse clicks when a digital picket line is closed? Kinda, yeah, essentially. So I don't know if you're saying it this way, but another thing that you could do is run some JavaScript that makes it to where any key press is ignored, for example. So the app is unusable. And nobody would want that. There was only one possible answer anyway to the poll. There's only one real answer, and that's yeah. Obviously, we're gonna keep the donkey. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave this where it is, and we will come back to it on Friday during the community call. If I don't remember, somebody remind me if Sir Blacksoul isn't here. And again, that is no requirement for you to show up. I don't want you to feel like you have to be there now that we brought this up. I will try to address it, and then if you're still interested in seeing it, you could watch the video back if you aren't available to be there live. I don't like forcing people to have to be places. Night. But that's gonna be it for my day. I need to run. Big Amy says, thanks for the shout out. Thank you, Dukasoft, you're amazing. I forgot the error, got a workaround. And how is it going? It is going really well, actually. It was pretty fun to explore that, and I really appreciate you, Sir Blacksoul. I hope you don't feel any kind of bad about continuing that discussion. It was really cool. I needed to see that, essentially. And thanks for the extra resources too. You're very much appreciated. And Dukasoft, you're always appreciated. So we will be back again on Friday from 2 hours ago, and we'll have Community Day. So for those of you that don't know, Community Day is a day on our stream, on our channel, where we just pretty much do what we did on this stream, except more formally. We talk about whatever topics you guys want to talk about. If you have any projects going on, we can look at them. If you have anything that you want help with in your own projects, we all look at it together. Big Amy says, I was late to the party, but I did bring a bottle. I'll drink it for you. Thank you so much. And actually, I've had 3 sips of water. My throat is feeling it. Okay. But that is it. I'm going to find Bardaki to raid. A Bardaki. Everyone make sure to say, hi, I'm here when you get there. And I'm going to turn him up so I can actually hear his response to us showing up on his stream. Unmute. Have chat open. Okay, that's it for me for today. I will be posting a copy of this video to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And feel free to join our Discord if you feel like it. Again, I don't like to pressure anyone into doing stuff they don't feel like doing. The lion is not from a zoo. So we'll see you again the next time you're around. I'll be here on Friday, provided nothing explodes. Okay, ciao.